Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits. I'm Elizabeth Hilaire, and this morning I'm walking my 4-pound dog, taking advantage of the beautiful Northern California winter weather this time of year. So my goal is to go into the studio this afternoon and play with my stencils because Joggles has just restocked all of my stencils that were out of stock, including several from the Gustav Klimt collection. So if you had your mind set on getting a few of those that have been unavailable, as of this morning, they're back in stock. So another thing I wanted to mention is that the price on the 9x12 stencils from Joggles is going to be going up in December, and I'll have that date for you when I get back to the studio, by just about $1 a piece, a little bit less than $1 a piece. They're going to be raising their prices. So if you've had your eye on my stencils or you've been waiting for them to be back in stock, now's the time to buy yourself a Christmas gift. Now's the time to stock back up, do a little to me from me, and get yourself a Christmas present wrapped in that amazing tissue that Joggles does, and probably shipped out the same day that you order because they have the best customer service. Anyway, the link for the stencils is going to be down below. I'm going to head over to the studio as soon as I finish walking the dog, and I'm going to work on some more fun techniques with stencils and my gel plate. And if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. Welcome to the studio. So today I have been playing and experimenting with a Gilding Flakes kit from joggles.com. Now this kit is a little tiny kit. It's made in the UK, and it comes with a little foam sponge, some cosmic shimmer gilding flakes, which is basically gold leaf in small pieces, not attached to any transfer papers, obviously, just a lot of little pieces of gold leaf. And then the cosmic shimmer flake and glitter glue. And it all comes in this little packet from joggles.com. So I started playing with this because I just love the metallic gold, and I wanted to figure out how to use it with one of my stencil designs. This stencil is Fiddly Ferns, and I am going to show you how to use the gold flake in the stencil pattern. Now, the other tool that I have that I think is key for this whole thing is my Ranger Mini Ink Blender tool with the domed sponge refill. Now, the refill comes off. It's Velcroed onto the tool, and you can get replacement domed blender sponges. And so when it gets all junked up with gilding glue, you can throw it out, or you can wash it out and reuse it. So this is what I'm going to use to apply the glue through the stencil. The glue comes with it's a squeeze bottle with a pointed top. So I did experiment with that in terms of spreading it in a thin line just to see if it would work in the thin line, and the glue does. So this opens up a lot of opportunities to add this glue to your collage work on top as some mark making at the end, and adding the cosmic Gilding Flakes right to this beautiful squeeze top bottle of glue. This is a great applicator in and of itself. But what I wanted to show you was how to use it with the stencil. Now, I am super excited to tell you that this stencil, Fiddly Ferns, was out of stock with Joggles, and it's back in stock. Along with Fiddly Ferns, several of the Klimt collection, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the Klimt collection are back in stock at Ampersand, Droplets, River, Square Study, Wind, Plains, Racing Spots, Seaweed, and the Peacock collection mask entitled Improvisation. All of these are officially back in stock as of this morning, Friday, November 5th. So, very excited to tell you that. Also, I want to tell you that's the good news. And here's some more good news. The Joggles 9x12 stencils are presently priced at $6.99, which is a steal of a deal because they're made in the USA, and it's just a really good price. However, they are going to be raising their price to $7.89 as of December 1st. All right, so joggles.com, links are below for the Gilding Flakes kit and the stencils. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dark color paper that I printed on the gel press. This is an old map, and I've got red and blue. I'm going to go with the blue, and I'm going to put the Fiddly Fern stencil right over that blue. And I'm just going to go right up the middle to show you how this works. I'm going to grab a sheet of palette paper, and I'm going to squeeze a bunch of this proprietary adhesive out onto the palette paper. And then I am going to take the mini ink blender tool and dab it into the adhesive, and then dab that through my stencil, working quickly. And Fiddly Ferns is indeed a stencil because the image is created by the negative space. The negative space that is cut through the Mylar creates the positive image of the Fiddly Fern. So we are stamping the glue down through the holes, the openings in the stencil. This is going to work best with a stencil more so than a mask because I have a defined shape that's cut out that I get to push the glue down into. So a stencil is when the pattern is created by a cutout. Okay, so I've got this all pressed through one line of the Fiddly Fern. So now what I'm going to do with my mini ink blender tool is I'm going to pop this top off and throw it into my dish basin that I have right here of warm soapy water. This is an essential tool when you are using sticky stuff. So I'm also going to lift up the stencil and throw that in the dish basin. And you can see that I've also got in there my brayers from previous printing and another stencil. Now this is also where you're going to throw your stamps in when they get paint on them, face down into the water so that they can stay wet until you can clean them. So it's really helpful to have this dish basin of warm soapy water off to the side so that your tools can stay good. So that dish basin is on my Amazon shopping list, and that's in the upper right hand corner. I have talk bubbles with notes next to every product on the list letting you know why I like them. Okay, so now the tool that comes with this kit that's super helpful is this little sponge. It doesn't look like much, but this is what we're going to use to burnish the gold flake into the adhesive, and it's also what we're going to use to brush the gold flake off of the page that's not adhered to the gold leaf adhesive. So it's a lot better than using your hand using this little sponge. So I found this to be super helpful. Now, the flakes are, as I said, they're basically loose gold leaf in this little container, and there's a lot of it in there. It's all compacted and pressed in there, and it's coming out like Chinese food out of the little paper box. It doesn't seem like a very big paper box, but when you take it out, there's tons of it. And that's what I'm finding to be the flakes. It looks like a small container, but there's a lot in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to wait for the glue basically to go from opaque to clear. So you'll see that it's opaque in the container. When I squeeze it out, I'll put some dots on there. You can see that it's opaque. So the directions say to wait for the opaque glue, there it is, opaque, to dry clear. So I put on a nice thin layer with my mini ink blending tool, and it seems to be pretty clear in the Fiddly Fern pattern. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit more, even though it is pretty clear. I want to make sure it's pretty dry and tacky. Okay, I think we're pretty good. So now we're going to take the flake and apply it to the paper. And of course it's sticking to my fingers because I've been touching the glue. So here's where the sponge comes in. So we're going to press and move the flake around with the sponge. And I'm going to zoom this down a little bit so you can see me a little better. There we go. So I'm taking the sponge and not my fingers to apply the flake. I can pick it up and drag it around with the sponge. Here's another big chunk of it. And you can see that Fiddly Fern pattern coming out beautifully where I applied the adhesive with that mini ink blender tool. And I think that mini ink blender tool is key because it gave me a nice thin layer of adhesive that dried rather quickly. And that's what we want. And now I'm going to take the sponge and make sure that I get the gold in all the areas that I want it in. And then I'm going to take the sponge and rub it to sort of pick up the gold off the areas where I don't want it in. And it's a simple little sponge, but it works great. So look at how beautiful this is. Now I'm going to just brush the excess gold off here a little bit. But look at how beautiful this is. Let's come out here. A perfect impression of the Fiddly Fern stencil. And how gorgeous would this be in your collage work to tear around it and put it in as this beautiful gold sort of fern element. It would be great in a floral bouquet. It would actually be wonderful on my fashion plate portrait Hawaiian woman with the floral headdress, a piece of this. And the gold really looks great over a dark contrast. So the bright gold looks great over the deep dark blue contrast. And here's another test piece that I did while I was practicing, and this is in my Italian wedding stencil. So my Italian wedding stencil here has lots of leaves and flowers, and it is another full 9x12. And so if you're looking for a pattern to cover a paper, Italian wedding stencil, and if you're looking for just one beautiful element that you can tear out and incorporate into your collage work, then Fiddly Fern. So this is the Gilding Flakes Kit from Joggles.com. It's just a little kit that's a lot of fun and has lots of big potential with the squeeze top glue allowing you to make thin lines and the mini ink blender tool allowing you to dab it through the stencil pattern. Now the domed ink refill, I've just rinsed it all out in the basin. It's clean and good as new, and we can use it again. So the refills are usable and reusable. So there you have it. Who doesn't love a little gold? Happy Friday, and thank you for being here. I just want to remind you that Fashion Plate Portraits is coming back as an online workshop as of January 2022. If you are not on my newsletter mailing list, please sign up so that you will have access to the course as soon as it opens, and you will have all the information you need about registration delivered to your email inbox.